you guys, welcome back to my channel. Hope you all are doing fabulous. Today I'm going to be running through all of the foundations that I own, so my foundation collection, and I'm just going to give a really quick short review over each foundation. I'm not going to go too in depth just because I have quite a bit, and this video would be an hour long and nobody has time for an hour long video of foundations. So I'm just going to kind of tell you really quickly the coverage, the finish, who it might be great for, who it might not be great for, just to kind of give you some bullet points of each foundation. So let's get started. Okay, so my foundations are housed, most of them are housed in this little glass box I got from Target. It's right here, and I have it, I keep this on my little vanity behind me where that lamp is that you see right there. That lamp over there, I keep them housed over there. So it's a really cute little box. I got it from Target. I think it was like $15. It's by, I want to say Nate Berkus maybe is what it was. 15 or 20, somewhere around there. But anyway, it's not a very sturdy box, so it's more for decoration. It's not like the most practical for storing heavy foundations, but it's cute. So if you have an area where, like on your vanity or you know, in your bathroom where you want to just make your foundations look really pretty, I think this box is great. So anyway, most of my foundations on there. I do have a few compacts in my drawers, but that's pretty much where my foundations live. So let's get started. I'm going to start from foundations that are sheer, and we're going to go work our way up to full coverage. Okay, so let's get started with sheer foundations. I have 3 foundations. 2 of them were actually BB and CC creams, but they can be used as foundations. I think it's more of a technicality than anything. They're pretty much all foundations. But first we're going to start with one of my favorite BB creams. It's the DiorSnow Broad Spectrum SPF 50. I have a hard time finding this. I got this, it's been a while, maybe a little over a year, year and a half that I've had this product, and it's phenomenal. Anytime I've ever recommended it to someone, they have a hard time finding it. I think the last place that I found this was on Dior's actual website, but it is the most beautiful BB cream that I have ever tried. Of course, it's Dior, so it's a little bit more pricey, but it just leaves your skin looking super radiant and super healthy. It has pretty great coverage for being a BB cream, and it has an SPF of 50. I would say the finish is pretty like natural matte. It's not really dewy at all, but it's not matte and powdered either. It's kind of like a natural skin finish is the best way to describe this. But I just apply this with my fingers, and it applies beautifully. It's something that I kind of save for special occasions, even though it is a BB cream. I like to use it, I don't know, I know that it's hard finding this guy, so I don't like to use him just willy-nilly, but it's a beautiful, beautiful. I know Dior has another BB cream, and it's not the same one as this. So if you're getting online looking for this, I don't know if it was discontinued or whatever, but if you're having a hard time, go to Dior's actual website and see if you can find it there. The next is by IT Cosmetics, and it's a CC cream. It's a color correcting full coverage cream. This is a new product to me. I'm in the shade medium. I have been using this for a few weeks now. I like that it has an SPF of 50, so I typically wear this on my days off from work. So if I'm going to the gym or I'm running Town Lake, which is like a trail we have here in Austin, or I'm going to be outside, I like this because it gives me sun protection, and it gives pretty good coverage. I would not say this is very long lasting or long wearing though. I feel like it gives good coverage initially, but halfway through the day when I look in the mirror, you can see my imperfections coming through. And again, I don't know if it's really fair for me to give that review, because when I wear this, it's usually when I'm going to the gym or I'm running Town Lake or I'm doing something where I'm sweating a lot. So I have yet to try and wear this on a day where I'm not doing like really, you know, physical activity. Maybe it would have longer wear to me. It is pretty like thick feeling and wet. I do feel the need to set this with a powder. It does not give a matte finish when you apply this, but it's very pretty. And like I said, it just gives the skin a really healthy, pretty glow. So it's a good option if you want coverage, but you don't want to look like you have a lot of makeup on. This is a really great product to try. Then I also have the L'Oreal True Match Lumi Cushion Foundation. I did a review on this when I purchased this, and this is a beautiful foundation. I really, really like this a lot. It gives a very luminous kind of glow to the skin. I would say the coverage on this is sheer to medium. You can build it to get a little more coverage if you want, but it is very natural when you first apply it. It would not be great for oily skin. So if you have oily skin, you probably would want to steer clear of this foundation, but it's really great if you like a very natural looking finish and you like glowy, luminous skin. This is one that I would recommend. Okay, so next we're going to get into more medium coverage foundations. Most of my foundations are pretty full coverage, so those are the only three that I have that are more sheer on the natural side. So as far as medium coverage foundations go, we'll start with the NARS Sheer Glow Foundation, and I am the shade Punjab, I might be saying that wrong, it's got to be one of those two. But this foundation is really pretty. It says a sheer glow, but I find that this does give a pretty medium coverage. The finish on this is like, I wouldn't say it's really luminous, but it's definitely not matte. It's kind of a really pretty and natural finish. I haven't worn this foundation in a while. I got this a while back because I think it was Nikki Tutorials was really on this foundation for a while, and her skin always looked really beautiful. I noticed that she tends to wear a little bit more foundation than I do, so the coverage for me is a little bit more medium versus medium to full, but it's a really pretty foundation. I do always set this with a powder though, because I typically like more of a matte kind of set makeup look, but I think this is good for normal to dry skin types. If you're really oily, you might want to go with something a little more mattifying, but normal to dry skin types, I think that this is a great foundation for. Next is the Maybelline Fit Me foundation, and this is the Matte Poreless Normal to Oily foundation. I have the shade 120 Classic Ivory, which is it's too light for me, so it's not a foundation that I go to very often, but it's a really great mattifying, long-wearing foundation. It gives medium to full coverage. It's great for oily skin types, so if you're looking for a really good mattifying, medium to full coverage drugstore foundation, this is definitely one that I would recommend. Speaking of great foundations for oily skin, the Hourglass Immaculate Liquid Powder Foundation is phenomenal, and it's really great for people with oily skin. It's just like it says, liquid to powder. So when you first apply this, it sets pretty instantly, and it does have the look of powder, like a powder finish. It literally looks like you've put powder on it after you've applied it. So you don't need to set this with a powder. This shade is too dark, and I'm the shade, well, I'm not the shade, but the shade that I bought is golden. It's too dark for me, so this isn't something that I wear. I usually wear this in the summertime when I have more of a tan. I wouldn't say, when I first got this foundation, I really liked it, but then after like I wore it for a little while, I don't know, and I think again it's the color, like I just felt too orange in it, but I just felt like I had to work with it really quickly, because once it dries, you can't really blend it. It's not really a product that you can keep working and blending out. You really have to like work quickly, because when it dries, it's like stays in place. It's very long wearing, which is great, but again, it doesn't give you a lot of time to work with it, so you have to be quick. And also too, like I felt like I could see every little like fine little hair on my face with it, and I think it's because the way that it sets, it just tend to like magnify any like baby or peach hair that you had on your face. So if you are really conscious about that, this probably will not be a foundation that you like. But if you're really, really oily, this is a foundation I would definitely recommend, because I think it would be great for really oily skin types. The next foundation is one of my favorites. It's the Laura Mercier Silk Cream Foundation, and it doesn't look like much in the packaging, very simple packaging, but it's a very beautiful medium to full coverage finish foundation. It's so beautiful on the skin, it just looks like velvet. To me, it has a very velvety matte finish, so it just looks like creamy, flawless. It's very, very, very pretty. My favorite way to apply this is with a damp beauty blender, because again, it just works the product into your skin, and it just gives the perfect finish, full coverage, and it just looks like your skin just looks like whipped butter, and it's just beautiful. It's just a really, really, really nice foundation, and it's an oldie but goodie. I feel like I don't go to it much anymore, just because I'm constantly getting new foundations to try, and so unfortunately this one just kind of gets pushed to the back. But I'm in the shade Medium Ivory, and this is a pretty good shade for me. It is a shade that I can warm up with bronzer, and I can wear it year round, so when I have a really deep tan, I can still get away with wearing this, and then during the winter it's a perfect match really to my skin type. Okay, the next foundation is definitely one of my all-time faves, although I have a big complaint about the shade range. So this is MAC StudioFix Fluid. I'm the shade NC30. I think this foundation is beautiful. It's really, really long wearing. It's medium to full coverage. It photographs really beautiful. When I used to do a lot of wedding makeup, I would always keep this in my kit. The complaint that I have about this is they're so yellow or so pink. That's the one complaint that I have about it, is the shade range. It's just so golden, or again, so pink. So I'm NC30, and I always have to like put Face and Body, which is another foundation by MAC that's a lot more sheer. I'll use like a Face and Body shade that's like 3 times lighter than my skin to just kind of lighten this guy up a bit. But it has a really pretty finish. Again, I like to use a beauty blender to apply it, just because it's going to give me the coverage I want without looking really heavy on the skin. But it's very long wearing, so if you're looking for a foundation that just sticks up through the day and lasts through heat and sweat and all of that, this is a really great foundation for that. YSL Fusion Ink Foundation, and I got this when it first launched, and I really like this foundation. I was going to say I have mixed feelings about it, but if I really stop and think about it, I really like this foundation. It's extremely lightweight. It is kind of different in the application, so it has a little spatula, and you just apply. I usually just kind of dab it on my skin. It's super lightweight. Like when you start to blend it out, it feels like it just kind of, I mean, you don't even feel it on the skin. It's so weightless, but it's very buildable. So you can get a pretty natural to, I wouldn't say full, but like a natural to medium coverage with this foundation. The way that I recommend to apply it is put a little layer on first, blend that out, see what kind of coverage you have, and then add product where you need it. Rather than adding a lot of product at one time and then trying to blend it out, start with a little bit, blend that out, and then go back and kind of spot, conceal, or add where you want more coverage. This shade is, again, a little too dark for me. It's the shade Almond, but the great thing about it is it's so lightweight that I can get away with it, because when I start to blend it in, it just kind of disappears into my skin. So this is a really great luxury high-end foundation. It is very long wearing. The finish on it is pretty matte. It's not like a powdered matte, but I don't really feel the need to set my foundation with a powder after I've applied this. So I would say it's kind of more of a natural matte, but it's very lightweight. So I think that's the biggest benefit of this foundation, is how weightless it feels and the coverage that it gives. The next foundation is by Marc Jacobs, and it's Marc Jacobs Remarcable Foundation, and I am the shade Bisque Natural. No, I'm sorry, Bisque Neutral. So I do have mixed feelings about this particular foundation. The application of it is just, it's kind of similar to the Fusion Ink, just a spatula, and I kind of dot it on my face. This guy gives really full coverage. You can cover pretty much everything with this foundation. The one complaint I have with it is that so one of the things about it is it's like highly pigmented. So I forget how many times more pigment it has than like a regular foundation, but it has quite a bit more pigment in it than a regular foundation. So you don't want to use near as much as you use of your normal foundation as with this. Like you want to use, like literally, you want to use what you think is not even going to cover half of your face, and that'll likely cover all of your face and be more than you need. When I first got this, it really took me a while of playing with it to figure out how much I needed. For a while I was applying this, and it looked good at first, but then throughout the day I would look in the mirror and it looked really heavy. So that's the only complaint I have about this, and it's not really a complaint, it's just something you need to know if you purchase this foundation. You need to know that you need to use a very small amount. Like I usually just kind of dab like 1 dot there, 1 dot here, and 1 dot there, and then I just use all of that and it'll cover my entire face. But it gives great coverage. It is long wearing. Again, the only complaint is it can look really heavy really easily if you're not careful. So that's that. The next foundation is L'Oreal Infallible Pro Matte Foundation. This is a really great drugstore foundation. I'm going to compare this to the next foundation that I'm going to talk about, which is a high-end foundation, but the two are very similar. So this gives very full coverage. It's 24-hour wear. A little bit of this goes a very, very, very long way. It says it's a demi matte finish, air light, oil free. So it does, I wouldn't say this feels as very lightweight. But again, I think it's because I apply too much of it. So you don't really need that much. If you apply the normal amount, you think how much you would need of this, you'll find that it's too much. So just be very, very light-handed with this. But this is great coverage. It is very, very long wearing. It says it's 24-hour. I've never tested it for 24 hours, but I do find that it wears throughout the day. I don't have to really touch up with. Again, I just have to be careful with how much I apply. And I am the shade, what shade am I? Golden Beige. Okay, so the next foundation that I'm going to compare to the L'Oreal is the Estee Lauder Double Wear Maximum Cover Foundation. This guy is super full coverage. Might be one of the most full coverage foundations that I have. Definitely up there. I'm the shade Medium Deep. I rarely wear this just because it's too much coverage. You can look very heavy very easily. This is a great foundation to mix with like a CC cream or a BB cream or something if you want kind of like a middle of the road. Like if you want something that has a lot of coverage but you don't want to look really heavy and made up. That's what I like to do with these types of foundations. I like to mix them with something else, or like even mix them with a primer, just something to kind of dilute it down a little bit and sheer it out. But I say sheer it out, but you're still going to get phenomenal coverage. You're just not going to get cake face. That's kind of how I wear this one. But this is super long wearing, super full coverage. Great for oily skin. If you are the type of skin that you put foundation on and then halfway through your day you feel like it's just like running off of your face, this would be a great one to try. The next is the Clinique Beyond Perfecting foundation, and I did do a review on this. I'll link the video down below. I'll actually link videos to all the foundations that I've done like individual reviews for. I'll link them in the description box below. But this is one that I've been using for a few months now. I am the shade 2 Alabaster. I find that these are all pretty pink. Like when I was getting matched at Nordstrom, she kept wanting to match me and I kept feeling like everything she was putting me in was pink, but then I realized that just this whole range is pretty pink. The only complaint I have with this is the applicator. It's like it's almost like a huge giant lip gloss wand. I don't know, I'm just not a fan of that. It's a really thick foundation. A little bit of this goes a very long way. It is very pretty. It does give really great coverage. You just have to, again, be careful with how much you apply because it can look like too much makeup really easily. So usually what I do is I just like make a couple of dots, and I will not use a beauty blender for this. I will use a brush. I will use something that I can like spread across my face really easily. And I find that a brush works the best. Usually what I like to use is, where are you guys? This one right here. Nope, not that one. Something like this. I'm really obsessed with the Real Techniques brushes. This works really, really well to just blend it all over the face. Then I'll use the damp beauty blender if I want to just kind of like blend out my jawline, around my nose, areas like that. But this is great for oily skin. It's great for normal skin. If you have really dry skin or skin with a lot of texture, you might find that it magnifies that texture. But if you're pretty normal to oily, this would be a great option for you. The next foundation is one of my favorites, and it's one of my favorites just because the way that it leaves your skin looking when you first apply it. It's the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk Foundation. I love everything about this foundation. I love the packaging. I am the shade 4.5. It is a beautiful, beautiful foundation. This, to me, gives you like model runway skin. It just gives you the prettiest glow. I feel like you don't even need to use a luminizer or a highlighter if that's what you like to do. It just leaves your skin looking so like airbrushed and photoshopped, and it just looks like you're walking around all day long with a light above your face. It's just so pretty. The finish on this is like a kind of a luminous glow, but it doesn't look oily or like shiny. You know what I mean? It doesn't look wet. It just looks like shine in all the right places, if that makes sense. The coverage is medium. I wouldn't say that this is full coverage, but I find that if you have pretty good normal skin, it's going to give you the coverage that you want. If you have a lot of areas you want to cover, then I would probably mix a concealer with this. So that'd be a great way that you can get more coverage from this foundation, but still get that finish that you want from this foundation. It's a beautiful foundation. I will definitely put this in one of like my top 5 foundations, one of my top 5. This is definitely one of those. Next one I would say is definitely my #1 foundation right now. If you watch my videos and you've seen me talk about this a lot recently, it's the Lancome Ultrawear makeup stick. This foundation is just amazing. Like, it's great for so many reasons. First and foremost, it's small and compact, so it's really easy to store. 2, it's so easy to apply. It's a stick. It literally takes me less than 60 seconds to do my foundation in the morning when I wear this. This is a great, great, great everyday wear foundation because of the wearability of it. It's really long wearing. You don't have to set it with a powder. Some days I will, some days I won't. It's great because of the application. Like I said, it's super quick. Just take a couple of stripes and then take your brush. I use the same brush I just showed you guys, the Real Techniques brush, blend it out, done. What else can I say about this? It's really pretty. Like, it doesn't have a matte finish, even though you don't have to set it with a powder. I wouldn't say that it's like, it's matte in the sense that it doesn't look wet or sticky or tacky, and it doesn't feel that way, but it's, your skin still has this like life to it, you know? It's not like super flat matte. Does that make sense? You put it on and you still see like highlight in all the right places, and it's very lightweight, so you almost can't go wrong with it. Like, You can apply a little bit and then blend it out, and if you want more, you just add more. But you almost can't apply too much of it because it's so lightweight, if that makes sense. If you haven't tried this foundation, try it and let me know what you think. Let me know if you agree with everything I just said, because I've been using this every single day for a while now, maybe 2 months, and every time I use it, I just feel like I discover something else I love about it. So this is definitely my favorite at the moment. The next foundation is also a stick foundation, and this is definitely one of my favorites too. It's very different than the Lancome one though. It's the Makeup Forever HD stick foundation. I actually have it on right now. This is what I'm wearing. Beautiful, beautiful foundation. It's very similar to the Luminous Silk in the sense that it makes your skin look gorgeous. I wouldn't say that it's similar in the finish of it or similar in any other way. It's just similar in, like, when I wear it, I just feel like my skin looks pretty, you know? You do have to set this with a powder though, and this is very full coverage, so you have to be careful not to apply too much. If you apply too much, a couple things, like if you have a lot of texture on the skin, like fine lines, wrinkles, scarring, whatever, if you apply too much, it's just going to intensify and magnify and call attention to those areas. So be careful with how much you apply. And then two, you just, you know, throughout the day, it's going to look heavy or cakey if you apply too much. So you just have to get your technique down and make sure you don't apply too much when you use this. You can put it on the skin and then use a damp beauty blender to really buff it and work it into the skin. But this is a really, really pretty foundation. It's great if you're a professional makeup artist. Unless you work with brides in like a really hot climate, this probably wouldn't be something I would keep in my kit, just because, yes, you set it with powder to mattify it, but throughout the day, it's going to not keep that mattifying quality throughout the day. So if that makes any sense. Okay, the last two, are these my last two? Last two foundations I have, yep, last two, are powder foundations. And the first one is the Smashbox Halo Hydrating Perfecting Powder. I did do a review on this, so I will link that below. But this is a loose powder. It comes like this. You twist the top and it releases more powder, and then I just take my brush, and you can tell I use my mirror, and I work the product into my brush, and then I buff it into my skin. This is really great for like my day off kind of makeup. It's super quick, super easy. It gives, I would say, medium coverage. It's matte, obviously, because it's a powder, but it still has like more of a natural sheen to it than like a flat matte. So yeah, that's a great foundation pretty much for all skin types. Even if you have dry, as long as you hydrate your skin before you apply that and your skin has some like suppleness to it, you can apply that directly on and it's going to stick and it's going to look nice. The next foundation and the last foundation is it's actually the foundation that I have been using the longest of all of these. This is probably the first foundation that I ever wore when I was 14. It's StudioFix Powder Plus Foundation by MAC, and it's the compact. You guys probably all know this. This is a powder foundation. So there's a powder, it comes with a sponge underneath, but I use a brush to apply it. And to tell you the truth, I have not worn StudioFix powder foundation in a long time. I don't know why, just because I've been exposed to so many other foundations that it's not someone that I go to, but it's a great one. It is a flat matte finish, so if you have dry skin, it's not one that I would recommend, but great for oily skin types. You can use it on top of a foundation. Just be careful, because again, it's like putting foundation on top of foundation, so you can kind of get that heavy look if you're too heavy-handed with it. But if you're someone that likes a lot of coverage, you can do that. One way that I'll wear this is I'll put this over like a BB cream or a CC cream, and I'll just dust it with a brush. If you use a brush, you're going to get a lighter application than if you use a sponge. So that's, if I'm wearing something with a little coverage underneath it, like a BB cream or a CC cream or a tinted moisturizer, I'll use a brush to apply it, because it'll just give me a little more coverage. It'll set everything, but it won't be as heavy as using a sponge. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope that you learned something from it. If I talked about a foundation that you had never tried or were curious about, let me know in the description box below. If you like this type of video, let me know, and I can do this for other things. Like I can do this for eyeshadows, blush, lipsticks, whatever. I thought it would just be fun to kind of go through the collection of foundations that I have and tell you little bullets. If you want to see a review over any of these in more depth, let me know in the description box. I do have reviews over some of these, and I will link them all in the description box, but if there's one that I talked about that I don't have a dedicated review for, let me know, and I'm happy to do that for you guys. Thank you all for your support, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!